And that's the end of the first half. As the teams head to the locker room, the Spartans lead the Bulldogs by a score.
You guys stink.
Geez, Coach, we're only down a couple of points.
No, I mean you guys really smell. You need to hit the showers. And here, I got every one of you new bars of soap from the Sterling Soap Company. Each bar is artisan crafted using natural ingredients and essential oils. They also have shave soaps, colognes, beard balm, and a whole lot more. Now get in there.
But Coach, we have another half to play.
I don't care. I can't stand to be around you.
A few minutes later.
All right, bring it in tight. You guys are still playing terrible, but you're smelling great out there. Now listen, you're going to need to stock up for the rest of the season. We got a lot of tough games left. So go to sterlingsoap.com after the game. That's STIRLING soap.com. You got that?
Yes, Coach.
Great. Sterlingsoap.com on 3. 1, 2, 3. Sterlingsoap.com.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
Hi, folks. Welcome again to another episode of Pro Football in the 1970s. I'm your host, Joe Zagorski, and today's topic is which team could have beaten the 1972 Dolphins? Now, the 1972 Miami Dolphins established a standard that has not been equaled since. They are the NFL's only perfect team of the league's modern era. They finished that 1972 season with an unblemished 17-0 record. There's a lot to say about that team and their accomplishments, but I recently asked the followers of my Facebook page, the NFL in the 1970s, if they could put on their thinking caps and answer a question based solely on conjecture and their own personal opinions. Which NFL team in 1972 could have beaten the eventual Super Bowl champion Miami Dolphins? Which one or two of their opponents stood the best chance to upend Miami in that historical year? In looking at their 1972 schedule, I felt that the Minnesota Vikings in Week 3 and the Buffalo Bills in Week 6 stood the best chance to give the Dolphins a loss on their ledger. Let's take a look at both of those games and explore why Miami was just a hair's breadth away from getting an L on their record. On October 1st, 1972, the Dolphins traveled up to Bloomington, Minnesota to take on the Vikings at Old Metropolitan Stadium. Minnesota was the defending NFC Central champs, so this contest would indeed be a challenge to the young Miami club. This game turned out to be a defensive struggle, especially during the first three quarters and the first half of the fourth quarter. Minnesota owned a slim 7-6 lead going into that final frame, then increased their lead to 14-6 on a 1-yard Bill Brown dive into the end zone. It was perhaps in this contest that Miami best showcased their ability to come from behind late in a game, especially against a quality opponent. The Dolphins' struggles on offense somehow came to an end toward the end of the fourth quarter, however. Like all great teams, one player stepped up and came through with an exemplary effort to secure some much-needed momentum. But the 1972 Miami club was different in that several players stood up to the challenge of this pressure situation. Dolphins place kicker Garo Yepremian booted a 51-yard field goal to bring his team to within 14-9, with 4 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. Then Miami quarterback Bob Greasy led his team on a clutch drive that culminated with a 3-yard scoring pass to tight end Jim Mandich with 88 seconds remaining. The Dolphins had miraculously prevailed 16-14. Now, against Buffalo on October 22, 1972, Miami committed 4 turnovers and they found themselves trailing the Bills at halftime 13-7. The Dolphins took a slim 17-13 lead going into the fourth quarter, but Buffalo kept things close by scoring 10 points in that final quarter. Nevertheless, Miami halfback Mercury Morris erupted for a pivotal 15-yard burst into the Buffalo end zone to produce the winning margin. Once again, the Dolphins have proved their mettle and emerged victorious with a 24-23 win. It was their closest winning margin of the 1972 season, and thus it was one contest that they easily could have lost, but didn't. I think that either of those games versus the Vikings or the Bills could have been a loss for Miami if their opponents had made one or two less mistakes. Yes, I realize that a team must be extremely lucky to earn an undefeated season. The 1972 Miami Dolphins were certainly lucky, but in a lot of cases, Miami positioned themselves to produce their own good fortune, something that few teams can do on a consistent basis all throughout the rigors of a challenging season. I also realize that a lot of Miami's critics proclaim that they played a weak schedule of opponents. Every Dolphins player that I've ever spoken to from that 1972 squad considered such statements to be an insult. In truth, Miami did not make up their schedule. The league did. Moreover, the Dolphins had to come from behind in their divisional playoff game against Cleveland and their conference championship game against Pittsburgh. Those were a pair of tough foes, and Miami conquered them both. So there you have it. I felt that the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills came the closest to upending the perfect 1972 Miami Dolphins. They just could not seal the deal, as they say, and Miami completed their perfect 1972 season completely unblemished. Now, here's the trivia question for this episode. It's a true or false question. True or false? The 1972 Miami Dolphins did not record a single shutout of their opponents during that historic season. Is that statement true or false? Thanks again for listening in to another episode of Pro Football in the 1970s. I'm your host, Joe Zagorski, and remember to check out all the other great podcasts on the Sports History Network. Take care. Bye-bye.
This podcast is part of the Sports History Network, your headquarters for the yesteryear of your favorite sport. You can learn more at sportshistorynetwork.com.
The Sports History Network, where legends live on and the past plays loud. Welcome to the place where history's proud. From gridiron glory to the hardwood stars, from the racetrack heat to Olympic bars. It's the voices, the stories, the moments you miss, told by fans and pros who live for this. Hook and Themic, the Sports History Network, where the past comes alive. Podcasts and blogs that keep the flame high. From Babe to Brady, Alley to the Dome. If it's history and sports, then this is the home. SportsHistoryNetwork.com, the headquarters of sports yesteryear.